everybody for coming. No, Mike, you do it.
Representative, to say, I have had my own microphone all night, but I wasn't going to use it. It was only if somebody was in a wheelchair to help accommodate them.
I want you all to know that as we were working to put this together, I happened to have the opportunity, Senator Sachs and I, to have a lot of conversation with Mr. Rajner. And I know that you all probably envy me at this point for having had it. But if nothing else, one of the things that we talked about in the conversation, and it was that he said to me, he said, you know, showing up isn't exactly advocating for the community. And we had that discussion, and it was interesting, you know, that just tells you all the discussions that we were having. And you know, I also want to say to you, sometimes it's just, you know, the presence. You know, I always think about Commissioner Lloyd Williams talked about civil rights, and just having David Richardson and my leadership team to be there when the first openly gay representative is elected. You know, I think we need to pay him twice what we pay state representatives for some of the questions that he gets to answer from the Republicans in the House of Representatives. And sometimes at night we're sitting around to 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning. He's telling me some of the questions, and I'm just in shock. But you know, until you are familiar with people, you have a chance to sit down and talk to someone like David Richardson, you're blinded by the similarities, and you're just focusing on the differences. And that's why we have to have representation, and we'll continue to grow our caucus. And I can assure you that it's amazing the light that he shed on the floor of the legislature. And I'm going to turn it on back over to Mr. Rajner, who told me that showing up isn't exactly advocating. So.
Well, let me first say to the representatives and senators, I have worked with all of you, and it's preaching to the choir when I talk to you about the issues. You know about them. And sometimes the stories you haven't heard that I often bring to you when I go to Tallahassee, when I show up at a political function, or when you get text mail, emails, Facebook notices. There's just no way to hide. I will find you. And I'll make sure the needs of our community. I think one local elected official recently called my outreach on the issues as bombastic and some several things. So, but there's some other blogs that'll later come out in the press on that. But you know, I'm an activist at heart. You know, a few years ago, Debbie Wasserman Schultz, our congresswoman, Broward and Miami, once called me the pit bull. And you know, she said that I don't let up on the issues. And what I'm very excited about is that after many years, this is the first town hall by state legislators who recognize, honor, and value the lives of lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender people. This is the choir we're preaching to, but we know that you're going to play the music in Tallahassee if the conductors allow you. And we know the hurdles that you have up there. I'm up there quite often during session with Lobby Days with Equality Florida, and we need the rest of the community. You showed up today, you need to get up to Tallahassee. Your voice here is effective to help share the stories, but we need to get to Tallahassee to hold the rest of the state legislature accountable to hear the message and put the pressure if we're ever going to see that change in this state. A state that had one time had a Johns Committee, a committee that investigated homosexuals and communists and blacklisted us. We've had Anita Bryant. It's a new day. In South Florida, we're known as the San Francisco, the 6th borough of New York, a liberal area. And you know, and former Commissioner Tim Smith, I didn't rally the community for inaugural. Actually, that was a broad coalition. I unfortunately just happened to have the big mouth when I happened to interrupt the mayor and some right-wing religious leaders, and just couldn't hold my tongue as an AIDS activist. And it just made the TV all over. But, you know, there's so many great things, and David Richardson, Representative Richardson, I sat in the gallery last year when you stood up, and you went there not as an activist, you went there as a legislator, and you stood up and you spoke for the needs of LGBTQ youth. Stories that we know here, stories that Senator Dan Rich continually championed in the Senate, and I was very proud of you for that, and I really continue to urge you to follow through that leadership. Representative Jones, we served together on the school board's diversity committee, and when we suffered through that process, and I'm glad to see that you're now part of a system where something can actually be done. And there's a lot to be done, but the community, I'm so proud that you've shown up. We were concerned that this room was not going to accommodate everybody and it needed to be moved, and I was like, that's a happy problem. It just shows we need to have more of these, and we need to have more of these around the state. And we also need to make certain that it's not just one party listening to our issues. Yeah. So, I was glad that we actually had a the issues of the gay, lesbian, bisexual, and transgender community are not issues of Democrats. They're human rights issues, and we pay taxes, we live in communities and contribute. And actually, a great deal, my hero as well, Marsha Ellison, stood with me at those days in the Naugle era, and I thank her for that. But again, I'm not going to talk much more. I just really want to thank you for this night. I know a lot of planning went into it. I want to thank Ella Phillips, your staff, for also assisting. And this has been a fantastic night. And I hope that every October we have the commitment in Broward County, Miami-Dade County, Palm Beach County, and other counties throughout Florida to prepare you for committee week and to prepare you for what would be a grueling session where getting our voice on issues is very difficult to be heard on the floor. So again, I want to thank you, and I want to thank the community for showing up.
I thank everybody, especially the city, the vice mayor, and all the commissioners who allowed us to use your facilities. I want to thank you all from the bottom of our heart for opening up your doors. And I'm going to let the members, if they desire, to have 1 minute, not 2 minutes, 1 minute if they desire. Starting with our newest young gun, Shevrin Jones, and we're going to end with our host, Maria Sachs, Senator Maria Sachs, will end it for us. Shevrin.
Thank you, Leader Thurston. First of all, I'm happy to be here today, even though this is not my district. And one thing that I'm happy about, that even though it's not my district, I'm being here to represent the people of Florida, to make sure that everyone is treated right. That's the most important to me, and that's why I don't mind being outside of my district, being here today. Commissioner Williams, you made mention of the African American community and how there might not be acceptance of that. That's a true statement. But just like African Americans want to be treated right, everyone in this room needs to be treated the same way to make sure that they are treated fair. And I want to make sure that it's put on record that I want to make sure that this not only happens here in Fort Lauderdale, but we need to travel to West Park, Pembroke Park, Miramar, Hollywood, and wherever it needs to happen to make sure that we can get voices. I love each and every last one of you. Thank you for having me.
Senator Sobel.
Well, I'm going to continue fighting for equality, for gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender rights in Florida at the state level. We're going to have open discussions about this. We're going to continue doing what needs to be done. I know a lot of gay people who do not want to come to the state of Florida. They're never coming back here for many reasons, and one of them is the LGBT issue. They feel that we're really a backward state, and we need to move forward. I mean, it's hurting us economically. It's hurting us every day in terms of the even tourism. So we need to get on the stick. We need to accept people for who they are. And I've even seen people from the Tea Party at my committee meeting because they want less government. So hey guys, less government, leave the gay community alone and let them do their thing.
Thank you,
Thank you, Leader. First of all, I want to say there's a carpool opportunity for a lady who took 3 hours to get here. Right? So whoever's from Miami, keep that in mind. Listen, I'm happy to be outside of my district, in fact, outside of my county. This is well worth it. It's something that I think Palm Beach County needs to do. But also keep in mind, and Shoshana, that's the name, right? Good. It's probably difficult for her to realize, but I think a lot of us in this room can understand it. You know, times change, and one of the biggest struggles that we're dealing with now in terms of adoption and some of these issues were created by Democrats. Let's not forget that. And so times change, people change, opinions change, and we've got to be aware of that. We've got to embrace folks who may not be in our party to get them moving in the right direction. And that's okay. You know, we've got time to do this, and the quicker we can do it, we can not meet on issues like this, but just maybe perhaps expanding healthcare or something small like that. It's wonderful being here. Thank you for the invitation.
Thank you, Thurston. This has been really wonderful for me. I feel like not only do I get to represent District 113, but I know that I represent all of the LGBT community throughout the state because of my status as an openly gay man. I do want to tell you that we have a lot of work left to do in the state, but it's not all bad where we are. And when I first went to Tallahassee, I didn't know how I was going to be treated and received, but I'll tell you that not one Republican has disrespected me. Not one. And many of them have come and privately told me that they're with us on the issues. I know that it's really just politics that's holding them back. So what we have to do is take this list where we have all these made all these strides all over the state and get the people there to give permission, if you will, to their politicians to come out. And that's really what it's about. So and we just need to keep having the dialogue. I was really pleased a couple of weeks ago, the CPAs, which is an extremely conservative organization, and I've been a CPA for 28 years, and I did not give them this idea, they came up with this idea themselves. They have formed an LGBT task force, and we're going to have our first, they've asked me to serve on the task force, and they have recognized it's just good business if they can educate CPAs to really serve the community. It's just good business. And for the most part, everybody's been really positive within the CPA community about it. So we're going to have our first meeting here in Fort Lauderdale, actually in November, for the task force. But I'm really very pleased to see that because, as Senator Sobel mentioned, it's really when the business community comes together and recognizes that this is just good, smart business to have these equal rights for everybody. So thank you very much for being here, and I look forward to having many more of these conversations. Thank you.
Governor Dan Ritz.
Shameless.
I have just one thing I really want to say. Stratton, I really appreciated your answer to my question about the marriage equality, because there are different options and how we get to accomplish our goals. And I look at gay adoption as one of those issues because year after year I filed the bill to eliminate 9 simple words in it went in different iterations, but 9 simple words, which fortunately we had a court system that it finally went to, and Judge Cindy Lederman came out with her brilliant decision which declared that that law was unconstitutional. And now hundreds of parents can now, they're entitled to the same protection under the law, and everybody does have equal rights when it comes to that one specific issue. And I have sat in courtrooms now, chambers of judges observing those adoptions, and it is just amazing to see children who have been in foster care for long periods of time with parents who love them, who have provided them stable, loving homes, and now can adopt them. So we have come a long way, obviously, as everyone said here, there's so much more to be done, and I will always continue in whatever capacity fighting to make sure that everyone in this state does have equal rights under the law. And I want to stop talking now because I have a date with Shoshana.
I want you all to know that I am pleased to have had as my co-host my senator and my friend who we started out together. I remember our first fundraising outing together, but she has been the best co-host that I could have. Senator, and she's going to close us out, Senator Maria Sachs.
Thank you so much, Representative Thurston. Thank you. And now it's a closing. Now it's a closing. And let me say this. Let me say 3 words. Let me say Selma, Seneca Falls, and Stone.